There is a prevailing myth in modern society that the key to a good life is more. More success, more money, more happiness, and more positivity. We are constantly bombarded with the message that if we aren't smiling, productive, and winning 24/7, we are somehow failing. But what if this obsession with more is actually the cause of our anxiety? What if the path to a meaningful life isn't about adding things, but stripping them away? Welcome. Today, we are deconstructing the philosophy behind one of the most influential self-development books of the last decade, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Five. Despite the abrasive title, this is not a book about being indifferent. It is not a guide to becoming apathetic or careless. In fact, it is quite the opposite. It is a manual on how to care effectively. We live in an age of psychological overload. For the first time in history, we have access to infinite information about how much better everyone else's life supposedly is. You open your phone and see someone younger than you making more money, someone fitter than you running a marathon, or someone traveling to places you can't afford. This constant comparison creates what is known as the feedback loop from hell. You get anxious about your life. Then, because you see everyone else projecting happiness, you become anxious about being anxious. You feel guilty for feeling bad. It is a spiral that never ends. The solution offered here is radical, but simple. Stop trying to be positive all the time. The desire for a more positive experience is itself a negative experience. However, accepting a negative experience is a positive experience. This is the backward law. By the end of this video, you will understand how to apply this law to your career, your relationships, and your mental well-being. Let's explore the 5 core pillars of this philosophy. Everything we think and feel is determined by how we measure success. If you measure your life by the wrong metrics, you will feel miserable, regardless of your actual achievements. Consider a high-powered executive. By all external standards, salary, title, reputation, they are successful. But if their internal metric for success is "I must be liked by everyone," they will go home every night feeling like a failure because it is impossible to be liked by everyone. They are using a metric they cannot control. We must distinguish between good values and bad values. Bad values are generally reliant on external events. They include things like pleasure, material success, always being right, or staying positive. These are bad because they are outside your control. You cannot force the world to agree with you, and you cannot guarantee the stock market will go up. When your self-worth is tied to these unstable things, your emotional stability is equally unstable. Good values are internal. They are immediate, controllable, and socially constructive. Examples include honesty, innovation, vulnerability, standing up for oneself, and curiosity. Let's look at a practical example. Imagine you lose a major client at work. If your value is success, defined as never making a mistake, this event is a catastrophe. You enter a crisis of confidence. However, if your value is growth, defined as learning from failure, then losing the client, while painful, is actually a vehicle for your success. You analyze what went wrong, you improve your pitch, and you move forward. The event didn't change. The metric changed. Take a moment to audit what you care about. If you find yourself constantly stressed, it is likely because you are measuring your worth against a metric you cannot control. There is a common delusion that one day, after enough hard work, you will reach a plateau of permanent happiness. You believe that once you get the promotion, or buy the house, or find the partner, the struggle will end. This is false. Life is essentially an endless series of problems. The solution to one problem is merely the creation of the next. If you solve the problem of not having enough money by getting a high-pressure job, you now have the problem of stress and time management. If you solve the problem of loneliness by getting married, you now have the problem of compromise and domestic maintenance. True happiness occurs only when you find the problems you enjoy having and enjoy solving. Many people want the reward, but few want the struggle. Everyone wants the gold medal. Few want the 5 a.m. training sessions. Everyone wants the corner office. Few want the 60-hour work weeks and the high-stakes risk. This leads to a critical question you must ask yourself. Not what do I want to enjoy, but rather what pain do I want to sustain? If you want to be a tech entrepreneur, are you willing to embrace the pain of uncertainty, rejection, and potential bankruptcy? If you want a perfectly fit body, are you willing to embrace the pain of hunger and physical exhaustion? Your quality of life is not determined by the quality of your positive experiences, but by the quality of your negative experiences. To improve your life, you shouldn't ask how to get rid of problems. You should ask how to upgrade your problems to better ones. This is perhaps the most empowering concept in the entire philosophy, yet it is often the hardest to swallow. We often conflate two very different things: fault and responsibility. Fault is about the past. Responsibility is about the present. Here is an analogy. If you walk out to your driveway and find a newborn baby in a basket on your doorstep that is not your fault. You did not put the baby there. However, it is now your responsibility. You have to decide what to do. Call authorities, take it inside, or ignore it. Whatever you choose, you are responsible for the outcome of that choice. In life, many things happen to us that are not our fault. You might have had a difficult childhood. You might have been laid off due to a recession. Your partner might have cheated on you. None of this is your fault, but it is your responsibility to decide how you react to it. Many people fall into the trap of victimhood. They believe that because their situation isn't their fault, they shouldn't have to be the ones to fix it. They wait for justice or for the universe to balance the scales. But the universe does not care. Taking responsibility means accepting that you are always choosing. Even if you choose to do nothing, that is a choice. When you accept that you are responsible for your reactions to everything that happens to you, you switch from being a victim of circumstance to being the architect of your life. You stop wasting energy blaming others even if they deserve the blame, and start using that energy to improve your situation. Realizing that you are responsible for your own happiness is terrifying because you have no one left to blame, but it is also incredibly freeing. We live in a culture that celebrates the extraordinary. Social media highlights the top 1% of the 1%, the prodigies, the billionaires, the world-class athletes. We are told that we are destined for greatness and that being average is a failure. This creates a culture of entitlement. Entitlement plays out in two ways. 1. I am awesome and the rest of you don't get it. 2. I am terrible and the rest of you don't understand my pain. Both are forms of narcissism because both require you to view yourself as fundamentally different from everyone else. The hard truth is that most of us are average at most things. You might be good at your job, but average at golf. You might be a great parent, but average at cooking. This is mathematically necessary. We cannot all be exceptional. The problem arises when we refuse to accept this. If you believe you must be extraordinary to be worthy of love or respect, you will spend your life chasing highs and feeling empty. The irony is that the people who actually become exceptional usually do so not because they believe they are special, but because they are obsessed with improvement. They acknowledge they aren't good enough yet, and they do the work. They are driven by a feeling of insufficiency, not a feeling of greatness. Accepting your own mediocrity sounds depressing, but it is actually liberating. It relieves you of the pressure to be world-changing every single day. It allows you to enjoy the simple, average pleasures of life: a good conversation, a finished project, a walk in the park. Once you stop trying to be special, you are free to just be. Procrastination and lack of motivation are common complaints among professionals. We often wait for inspiration to strike before we take action. We believe the emotional chain of events looks like this. Inspiration leads to motivation, which leads to action. We sit around waiting to feel inspired. But often that feeling never comes. The reality is that this chain is a loop. Action leads to inspiration, which leads to motivation, which leads to more action. If you are stuck on a problem writing a report, starting a business, or fixing a relationship, do not wait until you know exactly what to do. Just do something, anything. Even the smallest action will generate a reaction, which gives you data, which provides inspiration. If you commit to writing just one sentence, that action breaks the inertia. Suddenly, the second sentence is easier. If you put on your running shoes, the run becomes possible. This is the do something principle. When the standard for success is simply acting rather than achieving a perfect result, you cannot fail. This removes the anxiety of starting. Motivation is not a prerequisite for action. It is a result of action. So, how do we apply this philosophy to a busy modern life? Here is your action plan. 1. The value audit. Take a piece of paper. Write down the 3 things that are causing you the most stress right now. For each one, ask, why is this a problem? Keep asking, why, until you find the underlying value. Is it because you need to look rich? Is it because you need to be right? If the value is external, out of your control, replace it with an internal value. Change "I need this person to like me" to "I need to be proud of how I treat this person." 2. Define your struggle. Stop fantasizing about the result. Ask yourself what unpleasant experiences you are willing to handle. If you want the promotion, are you willing to handle the late nights? If not, stop tormenting yourself with the desire for the promotion. Own the choice. 3. Practice rejection. We are afraid to say no because we want to keep options open. But a life with too many options is a life without meaning. Commitment gives you freedom because it eliminates the distraction of other choices. Practice saying no to obligations that do not align with your core values. This clears space for what actually matters. 4. Memento mori. This is the final, heavy realization. You are going to die. It is the only certainty. When you view your current worries through the lens of your mortality, the trivial things fall away. The embarrassment of a failed speech, the annoyance of traffic, the rejection from a stranger, these things cease to matter. Death is the light by which the shadow of all of life's meaning is measured. The subtle art discussed here is not about not caring. It is about caring about fewer things so that you can care more about the things that are truly vital. Life is limited. You have a limited amount of time, energy, and screes to give. If you spend them on everything on the weather, the rude barista, the social media comments, you will have nothing left for your true purpose. Choose what matters, accept the struggle that comes with it, and let the rest go. If you found value in this summary and want to build a library of ideas that improve your life, consider subscribing. We explore the world's best books to help you think clearer and live better. Thank you for watching.